All right, well, good evening, everybody. My name is Joe Irvin, and I'm the city manager for the city of South Lake Tahoe. It is definitely my privilege and honor to be here with all of you tonight as we're here to hear the city's 2022 State of the City address. For those of you out there that may not know what a city manager does or who a city manager is, especially in the council manager form of government that we have and operate within, essentially, I implement the policies that are directed upon me and our staff by the City Council. We also run city operations through all of our various city departments who are all represented here in the back of the room. I appreciate all of you showing up and showing with the community what it is we've been working on and how they can get involved in the things that we do on a day in and day out basis. It is definitely my privilege to also work with the City Council, all of our boards and commissions, and the 200 plus city employees that come to work every day to work to deliver quality, cost-effective services to the residents and businesses of South Lake Tahoe. It is not a small task, and we are always deep in the trenches trying to solve those community problems. I'd like to take a minute and also thank our special guest and public officials from jurisdictions in the city who are here joined with us tonight. Dr. Todd Cutler with Lake Tahoe Unified School District, Julie Regan with the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency, Jeff DeFranco with Lake Tahoe Community College, Chris Proctor with Barton. We have 3 planning commissioners, Keith Roberts, Kaylee Robeck, and Gavin Feiger. We also have Parks and Recreation member David Gregorich. Thank you all for being here. Your support as we work together to make this community the best it can be is very helpful. Our entire city council is also here tonight, and I'd like to recognize them. They're a great council to work with. They're supportive of me and our staff. And Mayor Middlebrook, who will have the stage and mic here in a minute, is sitting right here. Happy to have him here, obviously. Mayor Pro Tem Christy Cregan back in the corner. And our council members, Tamara Wallace, Cody Bass, and John Friedrich. The beach retreat, oh yes. The beach retreat is a great host, and they've done this is the 2nd year in a row, and we appreciate their support and thank them for hosting us for our State of the City. The residents of South Lake Tahoe, thank you all for being here. I've met 3 or 4 new people tonight that I've never met before. And there's people tuning in on Facebook Live, and we're grateful to have you here. It is your desire and attention to local government that gives us the drive every day to come to work and continuously improve to provide the services to you. So thank you very much again for paying attention and being involved. Mayor Middlebrook, who's soon going to be up here on the stage, really does not need introduction. He's a Barton baby. He's a South Tahoe High School grad. He, as I like to call him, is our hometown mayor. He was born and raised, and he's the mayor of this wonderful city. He is a joy to work with. He works tirelessly to solve community problems. He understands the ins and outs of how we operate and what is going on in the community. He's worked tirelessly to be a good leader on the city council as the mayor. And him and the council have worked collectively to align our resources with the city's priorities. So with that, I'd like to have you all join me in welcoming Mayor Devin Middlebrook to the stage to provide the State of the City address.
You take Venmo for those nice words, correct? But seriously, thank you, Joe. It's an honor to be here tonight. I want to thank every one of you for attending, and I want to thank all of our city staff who's lining the back of the room with their booths with all the information. All of the nice things I'm going to say and all of the achievements I'm going to cover today would not have been possible without every one of our dedicated staff members. So most of all, thank you to the staff. I can start a clap. Tonight, I'm going to share with you how our community has risen to the challenges that we're facing and the actions that we have taken and are still needed in order to move our community into the future and be prosperous for all. I also want to start by acknowledging that we are standing on the lands of the Washoe people. They have called the Tahoe region home for over 10,000 years and were the original stewards of the place that we love, Lake Tahoe. Our city recently celebrated its second annual Indigenous Peoples Day this month, and in that spirit, I want our community and our city to do more to include the Washoe people in the decision making and the decisions that are impacting our lake. I also think we need to create more space for the Washoe people to learn about their culture, their ethos of stewardship, and celebrate their place at the lake. One great example of that is with our new rec center design. If you visit that booth, you can see how we've integrated the Washoe tribe into that inspiration for our beautiful rec center that I'll talk about soon. Bringing us into more modern times, South Lake Tahoe is a city that was never meant to be. Our community roots date back to the gold rush and the exploitation of our landscape for its timber, fish, and game. That destruction still shapes our community today. The piers that people use to access Lake Tahoe once shipped logs from here to Virginia City for the Comstock. The roads we drive on once carried mail along the Pony Express. Our community started as many individual neighborhoods such as Tahoe Valley, Bijou, and Al Tahoe. These small neighborhoods were built with minimal to no infrastructure. The auto-centric malls, strip malls, and hotels still line our highway to this day. When the city was incorporated 57 years ago, these communities were brought together. Today, we're here to celebrate this legacy as what makes Tahoe the place that we all love to call home. But this past continues to catch up to us. As we enter the second half of our first century as a city, our infrastructure needs a refresh. The invisible lines that have been drawn on this watershed no longer serve our best interest as a community. And a changing world around us brings many new pressures. For a small town that was never meant to be, we have a very bright future. And now we find ourselves in 2022. Oh, I'm supposed to be doing that. There it goes. No, I gotta go back. Oh. There we go. As we approach the third anniversary of the COVID-19 pandemic, it's important to remember that this isn't over. The pandemic's impact and our response to it will continue to shape our community into the future. In response to the pandemic, the city worked tirelessly to support local businesses and residents. Our council dedicated over $1 million of our general fund in order to support small business loans and grants, supplies of masks, sanitizer, and other PPE, support local nonprofits, support food programs, and individual assistance. In partnership with El Dorado County, our staff helped vaccinate nearly 20% of our community members. And then finally, the American Rescue Plan infused nearly $6 million in our community, which we invested in it to build a brighter future. But because the pandemic wasn't hard enough to deal with, we also all went through the Caldor fire last year. Thanks to forest thinning projects that have gone on throughout the basin and the brave work of our firefighters and police officers, we are lucky to still have this community here. This speech would have been very different if things went the other way. But luckily they didn't. So this year, I want to focus on our strategic plan. This plan is our city's response to the challenges that we face and the changing world around us. I will highlight our accomplishments over the last 4 years and talk a little bit about what comes next. This strategic plan has already begun to transform the community into a more equitable, environmentally friendly, innovative, and welcoming place. The first priority within our strategic plan is our built environment. Our built environment doesn't always match the spectacular natural environment that surrounds us. Our buildings and transportation system sometimes don't aesthetically match the community. Our transportation and building system are the number 1 and 2 sources of greenhouse gas emissions that are fueling climate change. But there has been progress. Revitalization can be seen across town in new housing projects, revitalized businesses, and vibrant restaurants and breweries that line our community. It's no secret that our roadway infrastructure is in disrepair. Years of delayed maintenance and lack of investment have left our roads riddled with potholes, harming lake clarity and making biking or driving around town unpleasant. Maintaining our roads is no small task. If you took all of our roads and laid them in a straight line, it would go from here to Santa Cruz. But thanks to Measure S, you, the voters, for approving Measure S, and the prioritization of this council, We have paved more miles of roadway in the last 4 years than the city did in the last decade. We also purchased additional equipment that will allow staff to repair more potholes and roads in-house, saving both time and money, accelerating the pace at which we can repair our roads. Our ongoing road replacement plan will ensure that our city has quality roads that our community has long demanded. Going back to the pandemic briefly, one of the most visible impacts on our community has been the increasing cost of housing. This is simply one of the most pressing challenges that we face. In the last 9 years, the median home price in the Tahoe region, including our city, has tripled, while total housing supply has increased by a paltry 1%. And very sadly, at this moment, there are 0 houses for sale on the market that an individual or a couple making average median wage in the basin can afford to purchase. And our city is taking this very, very seriously. There are currently more local housing units in various stages of development and construction than there have been in the entire history of our city at one time. I want to highlight 3 of these projects and give an amazing shout out to our housing team. Thanks to state funding, the Tahoe Coalition for the Homeless were able to purchase 3 motels in our community and convert those into permanent housing for the homeless population. The amazing thing is once you give someone who is experiencing homelessness a house, they're no longer homeless. Construction on the 248 unit Sugar Pine Village is underway. Phase 1 of that project is bigger than any individual affordable housing development we currently have in our city. And then finally, the Lease to Locals program, which we are investing in, has placed 25 residents in vacant second homes and second homes with 1-year leases. Our town is one of 5 towns across the country that has this program, and we've placed more people than any of those other communities so far since we've launched. But it's important to remember that the city isn't a housing developer. We must work with others to create opportunities and incentives for construction on housing that we need. We also must unlock the existing homes, second homes, vacant homes in our community that sit vacant for much of the year. But the real threat and ongoing threat to our community that underlies all of this is climate change. Climate change is real and it's impacting our community today. As a city, we have one of the most aggressive renewable energy and carbon neutrality goals of any city in this country. And we can get there, we can achieve that. The city is actively developing multiple solar power projects along with our partners such as STPUD that just approved a 1 megawatt facility. We have hired the first ever city sustainability coordinator, Sarah, who's sitting back there, and we have adopted the first ever city climate action plan. We have a plan to electrify the city vehicle fleet and install electric vehicle charging stations at every city property throughout the city. Finally, we're reducing waste and litter with a recent ban on single-use plastic water bottles. The climate crisis is at our doorsteps, and we must be a national leader in building climate resilience. We can do it. We must do it. One of those leading sources of greenhouse gas emissions, as I mentioned, is transportation. Not only is it contributing to climate change, it's contributing to the clogged roads and traffic that we all loathe during the summer months. And getting around Tahoe without a car needs to be more of a priority. Reducing traffic and congestion is better for the lake, climate change, our quality of life, local businesses, and the visitor experience. Our investment in bike infrastructure has been aggressive. We are continually building new sections of trail and have supported scooter share for the last 5 years. Love them or hate them, they are reducing vehicle trips and providing critical transportation services for residents. For many years, our city has failed to properly invest in our public transit system, but that is changing. We have sponsored the launch of Lake Link, which you can get from right here, which is providing rides to people. Like Lake Link Microtransit goes from the community college to State Line. Since launching in July, you can tell who works for the college. Since launching in July, they have given rides to over 32,000 passengers. And as you can tell on the heat map here, it's not just visitors that are using this. One of the biggest red spots is actually the middle school. A lot of students are using this to get to and from school. Moving forward, our city has recently completed a transit study, and we'll be working with local partners to expand transit service across the entire city and to key recreation sites. Transportation is one of those challenges and issues that's very dear to my heart. I'm sure you've all seen me with my long blonde hair riding down the highway on my e-bike. I encourage all of you to get out there and explore our trail system. Where is our built environment going? We need to create a built environment that reflects the beauty of our environment and culture of our community. The city needs to create local plans and zoning that spurs housing development, business revitalization, and integrates alternative transportation modes. We need to accelerate the pace and scale at which we build new housing and unlock our existing housing stock. Finally, we need to electrify our building and transportation system to fight climate change. Our next priority is recreation and equitable access. We all love the outdoors. Like most of us, my shed at home is filled with bikes, kayaks, paddle boards, winter gear. But that isn't the reality for everyone. There is a large portion of our residents who don't have the luxury or the ability to go to ski and afford a ski pass and all the equipment, or take time off from the 3 jobs to enjoy a sunny day at the beach. There are deep inequalities in who gets to experience Lake Tahoe, not only among residents, but also among all of those that call public lands their own. The cornerstone of our recreation initiative is the 56 acres property in the middle of town. In partnership with El Dorado County, we have created a new vision for this space. It preserves the recreation already on site, but it creates and elevates the new recreation center, updated campground, and more. The new multi-generational recreation complex broke ground this year and will be a world-class LEED certified facility. Again, I encourage you to check it out at the back of the room. This is really the building that we need for our community. Thank you again to the voters for approving Measure P, which is funding this project, the largest the city has ever embarked on. The 56 acres master plan also includes a new civic center, which could be home to a new city hall and a place for the community to gather, get engaged, get involved, and take pride in making the community a better place. But recreation for all isn't about large facilities. It's also about small neighborhood parks. Our strategic plan calls for a park or community garden in every neighborhood. The first example of this is the Ski Run Community Park. Thanks to some local residents and businesses on Ski Run who purchased the property and are raising funds to develop the park to give to the city to hold for the community forever. The first of these, it will serve over 1,400 residents who live within a 10-minute walk, including over 1,000 kids. Many of these households don't have access to a car, so they have no other choice to get to outdoor recreation or enjoy the outdoors. I look forward to celebrating the park's opening next year with everybody. Ski Run Park will also serve as a template for more parks in our community. So if anyone has a neighborhood that needs a park, we can start a list and we're ready to move on to the next neighborhoods and bring this to everyone. But the challenges we're facing with outdoor recreation and visitation are all too familiar. All of these challenges we're facing existed prior to COVID, but were exacerbated by it. We all lived through the season of 2020 and 2021. And really, we are seeing a point where some of our hotspot recreation areas like Emerald Bay and the Camp Rich area are reaching a peak where there's too much visitation for the infrastructure that's there. And we heard that as the city council, and we're acting in order to address those concerns and mitigate those impacts. We've expanded our partnership with Clean Tahoe to improve and expand litter pickup throughout the community. They even created this wonderful lake sculpture that sits at City Hall made out of broken plastic sleds from the winter sledding season. Our recreation sites, including this one right here where we're at Timber Cove, now have solar compacting trash cans that text our maintenance staff when they're full and need to be serviced. We also launched a park ranger program where we have rangers out at all of our hotspot recreation areas, interacting with visitors and residents, telling them how to be better stewards of the lake, telling them where to throw their trash, how to get around without a vehicle. Not only is this program interacting with our guests, it's a point of customer service, it's building that culture of stewardship. We also are primarily hiring high school and community college students, acting as not only job experience for those students, but a job pipeline to expose them to careers in this field, and maybe one day they'll work full-time for a Parks and Rec department. Finally, we are rapidly expanding our trail network, not just for recreation, but to give residents more ways to commute to work, school, and shopping. These trails and complete street projects are getting cars off the road, creating a healthier community, and beautifying our streets. Again, if you haven't gotten out on our trails lately, I highly encourage it. Moving forward, we need to expand outdoor access for all, with a focus on those most historically left out. We as residents must also remember that the lands around us are public and belong to everyone, not just the select few that have the privilege of living in Tahoe. The city and all partners around the lake are working to develop destination stewardship principles and actions to better manage recreation and visitation, to reduce its environmental impact, increase equitable access, and promote economic vitality. The old way of doing things is not working anymore, and a new path forward must be forged. Our next priority is community for all. Tahoe has long been a melting pot. People from across the globe want to call this place home. I'm sure the majority of you here came up for either a ski season or a season of summer, and you've been here for the last 15 or 20 years and never left. I want to make sure that that's a possibility for everyone. Our city is one of inclusion. We proudly have 3 crosswalks now, painted with rainbows to celebrate equality and recognize our LGBTQ+ community. It's about outwardly showing what we are about as a community. We also established a sister city relationship with Ameca, Jalisco, Mexico. A large portion of our Hispanic community comes from this town and this region, including many of the people who work for the city. This sister city partnership shows those community members that we see them and we care about them and we care about their culture. I actually just got an email yesterday from the owners of Rad Pizza, and they visited Ameca and they got the grand tour around the city. They got to go to City Hall, all of this. They loved it. Not only is it benefiting our community members here, it's benefiting you when you go to Ameca, and I highly encourage it. The food is amazing. This month, we hosted our first ever multicultural celebration. This was created by our newly formed Multicultural Alliance, and shout out to Councilmember Friedrich for spearheading this. They are also creating a roadmap to make our city more inclusive to all that call it home. There's no place for hate in our community, period. And these actions are small steps to outwardly showing the world that. When I spoke about housing, I briefly mentioned the Tahoe Coalition for the Homeless. They are striving to end homelessness in the community, and they have now their 67 units spread across 3 motels that are converted to permanent housing. They have virtually ended senior and veteran homelessness in our community. And I really do think the numbers speak for themselves. In addition to this, our police department has created a STACS program where they work with El Dorado County and mental health organizations to do proactive outreach to our remaining homeless population in order to connect them with services and get them out of our meadows and into safe housing and back on their feet. Based on point-in-time counts, which occur every February, homelessness in the community has dropped from over 110 in 2019 to less than 20 in 2022. This is also translated into our police calls for service. From 2020 to 2021, the police calls for service for homelessness-related issues dropped by over 350 calls in just 1 year. More needs to be done, but more communities in the state could learn from the successes that we've had at Tahoe. And finally, part of building a vibrant community that everyone can call home is art and culture. It is the cornerstone. Our council created a new Arts, Culture, and Tourism Commission to help spur more of this community building. They are overseeing development of public art funding, more community events, and great things like this mural that is currently going up behind Blue Dog Pizza on Sierra Boulevard. We must expand funding to create more public art, sculptures, and events. To truly create a community for all, we must drop the us versus them divide. There is no place in our community for California versus Nevada, county versus city, resident versus visitors, new versus old. Be wary of people that push these narratives. They don't care what is best for the community, only what is best for themselves. It will take us all to create a new narrative that supports the love, inclusion, and diversity. That's exactly what principles create a thriving community. Turning to economic development, while tourism is the backbone of our economy and always will be, we need to diversify our economy in order to create higher paying jobs, build new business opportunities, and create a more resilient system. The city plays a supporting role in this. We're not an economic development agency, but we do play a role in providing that underlying infrastructure. As a city, we need to have the policies and incentives to allow entrepreneurship to thrive. And we're doing just that with food trucks and cannabis. Until recently, food trucks were banned in the community. You were not allowed to operate a food truck in city limits. We changed those rules, and now we have a growing food truck scene with local owners creating amazing food. Catch them at a local brewery, farmer's market, or music event if you haven't already. The council also adopted regulations on recreational cannabis. We now have 4 retail stores and 1 micro business operating safely in our community and generating over $1 million a year in tax revenue for the city. And again, they are all locally owned. Voters will be asked next month to vote on Measure G. Measure G will take the existing 6% cannabis community benefit fee and convert it into a gross receipts and cultivation tax. This tax is currently at 6% through the community benefit fee. Measure G allows that to be adjusted between 0 and 6%. The taxes on cannabis are too high. This enables the city council and cannabis businesses more flexibility in the future to operate and potentially lower costs for locals in the future. Finally, as I mentioned, the city's role is creating that backbone infrastructure for businesses to thrive. We participated with the Tahoe Prosperity Center in the creation of their Envision Tahoe Prosperity Playbook. The playbook outlines the needed actions to create a vibrant economy that benefits everyone. The city's part in playing that backbone infrastructure is happening right now. We recently adopted a plan for rolling out broadband to connect everyone in our community through 3 phases to affordable high-speed internet. Finally, as a city, we must update our local area plans to spur local business, develop more housing, expand broadband, and fill vacant commercial properties. If we build it, the opportunity will be there. Our final category is continuous improvement. This is the point of all of our staff constantly striving to be better at delivering our core services and delivering customer service to the community. This is our bread and butter: police, fire, and roads. This is the things we rely on daily. Measure S. In 2020, the community gave the city the funding and the tools it needs to deliver on these high-quality services. Thank you all for investing in yourselves to pave roads, fund our police and fire, and more. In 2 short years, Measure S has funded new public safety communication systems, road repairs, emergency vehicles, and staffing for police and fire. Our city will continue to transparently use this funding to achieve the priorities our residents have expected and deserved. Again, the Caldor fire highlighted the heroes working for our police and fire departments. The services they provide to our community are priceless, and we're investing in them so they can do their jobs better. This council reopened Fire Station number 2, remodeled part of the police department, invested in a new communication system, and created a defensible space program. In today's world, we are also ensuring accountability. We have a new police advisory commission that is working with Chief Stevenson to ensure the department is transparent and working for the community. I know we are internally grateful for the work they do every day. The other heroes on our team are in public works. Take, for example, snow removal. This is funded with a $20 parcel tax that hasn't increased in over 30 years, while costs have continued to climb. But this city is dedicated to providing high-quality snow removal, but extreme weather events driven by climate change are making that increasingly difficult. Our team keeps getting things done, though, and keeping our roads and paths clear. In recent years, the city has purchased 9 new pieces of snow equipment to support operations, including snow removal on our bike paths. These paths that are critical to our community members without vehicles that still need to commute to work and critical services during winter months. Lastly, the aging infrastructure mentioned at the beginning of this presentation is not always outwardly visible, but our stormwater system is not what it needs to be. Aging pipes and drains send pollution to the lake, harming lake clarity and undermining our roadways. There is a dire need to upgrade this infrastructure, but there is little existing funding to do so. The community will need to invest in this project in coming years, but luckily there is a flood of state and federal dollars that we can leverage to get this done. To have a high-functioning city that delivers quality services to the community, it takes constant investment in our staff and infrastructure. We need to continue to leverage local dollars to bring resources and projects, support staff with technology and tools they need to do their jobs, and work with our partners beyond the city limits. Without these actions, we could fall into mediocrity. As I end my term on council and as mayor, I want to leave you all with an inspirational vision for our community and a vision that has guided our city over the last 4 years and one that must continue to guide us in the future. South Lake Tahoe's mountain culture and community stems from the immediate connection to the lake, its forests, and its peaks. This extraordinary geography shapes our days, our homes, our routines, our thinking, and our wellness. Trails connect our back doors to town and to the wilderness with parks, farmers markets, ski slopes, art installations, breweries, and more dotting the landscape. The combination of living wage jobs with a myriad of all-season recreation, whether water, snow, dirt, or sky, means that in our community, intellect matches athleticism. The adventure greets both work and family. While we celebrate tourism, we are also consciously building a broader, more resilient, future-focused entrepreneurial economy, leveraging our short distance to the San Francisco Bay Area. Small businesses anchor redevelopment that add character, provide quality jobs, revitalize their surroundings, and protect the environment. Attractive transit makes it easy to link feet, bikes, and skis with boats, buses, and gondolas, and will reliably get you and your family around town and around the basin on your own schedule. Our leaders show political courage and accountability, support one another in innovating, and reflect the ranges of ages, races, and ethnicities that make up our city. While visitors and tourists can readily find diverse accommodations, families and service workers can afford to live in South Lake Tahoe. With ready access to exceptional schools, high-speed broadband, and internet, and top-notch physical and mental health care. As a community, we must focus on this. We must be future-focused, honoring our past, while envisioning, enabling, and embracing the future. We must be inclusive, ensuring everyone, residents and visitors alike, feel warmly welcomed in South Lake Tahoe. We need to ensure there's equity, ensuring all people from all races, genders, classes, religions, and other backgrounds have access to the same public amenities, services, and opportunities. We need to advocate and promote and speak in favor of these innovative ideas. We need to communicate with each other and share information and ideas to promote benefits and ideas that benefit everyone. We need collaboration. We need to work together towards goals that we hold in common. And finally, community participation. Just like you are here tonight, we need community that invites and creates ways for us to shape our own future. Living in our dynamic mountain community is not only desirable, it is possible. Thank you.